Hi everyone, welcome to the weekly Infra team meeting. Today around the virtual table we have Mark, Wait, Jay Reddy, Bruno Verhagen, and myself, Stefan Merl. First, happy holidays to Damien. And for the Jenkins weekly release and the enhancement, last week release went well, the 2.498. But today's weekly 2.499 at a full start, but it's running now. It's currently in the prepare release stage. So we should have a release within 3 to 4 hours, if I remember correctly, the timing. As for the announcement, to follow up with last week migration of CI Jenkins IO, we had few hiccups with the Windows Kubernetes pods. We wrote back to VMs and we engaged a conversation on do we really need to keep with the Windows containers or to embrace Windows Agent. An issue had been open. If we need to have the Windows containers working, we need to solve a few problems. And one of them is the paging file too small that we were seeing during our first brownout. Can call that a brownout. Discussion is upgoing.
So the choice there right now for the next 1 to 2 weeks is we stay with virtual machines, right? So no question, and no complaints about that choice. That's a choice that's working for us, and but as
can see later
is passing.
We did few checks on the builds you had problems with, and they're going through with the VMs. That's later on. For the upcoming calendar, the next weekly will be next week on Tuesday, the 2.490. The LTS will be the day after, the 5th of March, with the release list as return. For the next security release, there is none for now. Sorry, Mark. You're muted.
Next weekly's version number will actually be 2.500.
Next weekly will be 2.500.
Yes, 500, 500.
Okay.
That's let's see, 500 at 50 builds per year means roughly 10 years. Is that right? Since we switched to the 2.x line. Yep.
Cool. Oh, yeah. I don't know where that's. Okay, I made a mistake. Yes, 2.499 is going to 2.500, of course.
And 100 is a cool number. That's a really cool number.
Yes. So no security release as per Jenkins CI advisory. As for the upcoming credential expiration, we still have the March 3 deadline of the Update Center security certificate expiration. The problem with that one is that the process stopped working 30 days before with a variable that we can change and have the Update Center working. But when we did the issue, we discovered that it's not the case for the crawler. So we need to rotate the credential before the 3 of March. So Damien and I worked, Damien did the work because he is a single point of failure, as he need to have the authority certificate. He prepared everything and create the zip file. I just need to put in production. I did want to wait until after the weekly to be sure not to take any risk. So this should happen during the next days. 7th of March, we have a Netlify token that expire and the NPM token that expire. I will try to renew them. I don't know if I have access everywhere, so that's a way for me to check that. If not, Damien will be back on the 4th of March, so he will be able to deal with that. But I will try first. And then we will have to work on the 2026 code signing certificate expiration. But that will wait for Damien to be back. If you're okay with that, Mark. Next major event, I don't know any of. Do you have any exhibit or?
So Southern California Linux Expo you don't need to put any of these in the notes. Southern California Linux Expo is coming up in a little under 2 weeks. 2 weeks from Sunday, will be the last day of the conference in Pasadena, California.
Okay.
And Basel, Alyssa, and I will attend that conference.
Perfect. Thank you. For the cloud budget, for the Azure CDF, we are right now at 3.4 K. We forecast at 4, no change. Maybe a little less. I don't think so, but we'll see. For the Azure sponsored chip, we have 8,000, a little more than $8,000 left until May 2025. That's because of the migration of CI. Right now, the billing for February is 11.2. There will be a little more for the 5-day remaining. Seems that the consumption is about 835 forecast. So we should be around if we use those 5 last days for the forecast for next month, we should be around 5K per month. And we should be able to decrease that a little with the small leftover that we still have.
And I have submitted a request for an additional donation to Microsoft. We don't know if they will grant that donation, but they indicated in the past to the CDF that they were willing to consider additional donations. So I've asked. I don't expect an answer for at least 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. DigitalOcean, we spent only $197. We forecast a little more than last week because of the increase in the bandwidth usage because of the Cloudflare outage, but not much. Right now, the bandwidth is $89.16 for the month. So I don't think we will go a lot higher than January. AWS, the cloud-based account, steady. Like last month, we should be around 550. Right now, we are at 457. And for the sponsored account, we are now at 6.8 K because of the migration. And we forecast around 9K for the February billing. Any question on the cloud budgets? No? Okay. So for what have been done, we had a little hiccup on the Docker credentials. When Damien set up the proxy, he swap between 2 accounts that we are using for Docker and updated the 2 entry of that credential, and one was not a good one. So we had to regenerate the correct token and update that. So it's working now, and now I'm sure I have access to those Docker accounts. This paging file too small. It's a closed issue, but the solution was not to correct the bug. The solution was to migrate to the VMs usage for Windows. So the bug is still present for container in Windows, but as we reverted to Windows VM, the bug disappeared. Same with the Workflow API plugin and the Artifact Manager extra test. The image were failing because of that. This one is from Olivier Lamy, if I remember correctly. And yeah, he was having a notice of failure, and that have been solved with Tim and JClick helped, and he switched some parameters by himself. So it seems that we keep that, we close that as we didn't had anything to deal with. We had a small migration of a backup LDAP backup PVC, which is an Azure file to be compliant with the CSI Azure file. That migration was due because it was due imposed for the Kubernetes upgrade. So that went well. Maven repository setting prevent to download newer version. I forgot this one. Oh yeah, Julie found a solution by himself.
He found an alternate solution that worked for him, and that's great.
Cool.
I would have liked him to tell us what that solution was, but in this case, it's a rare thing what he did there. What he did is he transitioned from publishing releases of components to Jenkins Artifactory to switch to publish them to Apache Maven Central. And Maven Central is on the list of searched repositories, so it should be found. Damien then
depending of the order of that, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Damien described why the artifact caching proxy didn't quite do this exact same thing that Maven does. So yeah.
So we have the instability of artifact caching proxy that have been closed, but another one have been opened, and we will discuss it a little later.
Great.
So still. For the keep platform up to date, I did the upgrade for Kubernetes 1.30. It went quite well. We had a little hiccup on if I remember, the private K8s that was corrected in 2 minutes. So everything went well. Yeah, we had a rotation for a credential by Packer, like usually. It went well too. The migration for CI is almost done. So we now have an ECR pull through cache, meaning that the agents are pulling the Docker images through a kind of proxy. And we got 2 of them, one internal, one for the agent. We are using one also for Infra. The move agent to ephemeral Windows container to AWS have been closed because it was successful first, but then we discovered that it brought some error. For now, it's closed. Ref to the discussion we had before. And as for those 2 issues, that what we were saying about test not going through with container, but working now with VM agents. Close as not planned to a permission and password issue that we didn't have to do anything on. For the work in progress, I will let you speak about that one, Mark. The Docker SSH agent build consistently timeout because you try to increase it.
And I don't know what will fix that. Oh, interesting. Oh, the remoting builds, right? They work. Okay, good. So the remoting fix is in. So the bug originally said 2 things were having this timeout: remoting and Docker SSH agent. The remoting fix was easy. Our Windows agents are significantly slower now than they were on Azure, and probably due to storage, probably due to who knows what, but they are slower. But this Docker SSH agent thing hasn't been investigated. Don't know what it is, and needs more work.
Okay.
So the trouble is I don't know when I'll get to it. So it's sitting in triage now, and I if we've got capacity to investigate it, great. I would love that.
If you want help on an investigation, can you please make sure to keep the logs of the builds for us to have the agent's information and to be able to search Datadog for information on that agent that ran that plugin, because that will help us to have all the metrics.
Sure. Yes, happy to do that. They all the builds are doing a timeout. Every single one of them. It is a consistent failure. So
I can take any one of the last one and go
grab the most recent. We'll see it fails, right? And pull requests are failing the same way. So it's and I don't know what's happening situation, but it's real.
Okay. So to investigate those 2 issues report a problem with Docker rate limit and release error with 403. They worked on solution on that with Olivier and Damien. I think that we got some possible evolution for the infra, because the Docker hub said that they were tightening all the rate limits. So at the beginning, the 1st of March. So after the 1st of March, if you see problems with Docker that may be coming from that rate limit, this is why we in the infra we set up a proxy, and we try to do the same for the agents. But that one is using CD, so they needed to take care of that, and they choose to avoid any Docker image pool for the tests. And here is the pull request. And for the second one, up. Yes, they decided they may change the way of publishing that pipeline by making sure that the deployment just happen at the end, and if everything is okay, and not partial deployments, if I understood correctly. See. So that should solve the problem. Work in progress. So for the instability of the artifact caching proxy on AWS, Darren brought up some 500 issue error and 403. I digged into the logs and found out that we got error about through to the column 500, meaning that the upstream answer was 500. So the ACP is not involved. It was just sending back the 500 error it was receiving. I took the opportunity to watch on 24 hours. So one day there is 2 errors like that. And we have 2.38 million requests for that period, and only 2 errors, those 2 ones. So I'm not sure we can say it's instability, but I mean, there's 2 errors, and those 2 errors are upstream errors.
So imperfections are imperfections, but fair enough.
I'm not quite sure we can improve that.
Yeah, fair enough.
There is another issue. I forgot where, about having a kind of cache set up. So maybe they can help.
Instead of doing 2.8 million requests, let's do a much smaller set of requests, copy a big blob of data onto the drive that could then be used instead of, because right now what we're doing is an Nginx stress test.
Yeah, that's this one.
Nginx
is Maven dependency client side caching for bound. Maybe that can help.
And we're confident that it can help. We just need time to do the implementation.
Exactly. This one, Jay, do you want to speak about?
Yeah, sure. I can go ahead. So this task is in line of creating a new shared pipeline library to implement a monitoring stack. So for that, I'm primarily right now I'm playing with shared libraries and modifying the existing pipeline library scripts to include an extra functionality. So over here, we are trying to implement an update-free functionality where you could specify a custom version, and it would download the custom version whenever specified with the command. So I was able to implement a pipeline library. I was able to implement an update-free step where you could curl the curl a custom version according to the user. And so only when the version parameter is set, the curl steps would be executed to download the custom version and use the custom version. So I was able to get the first iteration, and with a review with and after review with Damien and Stefan, right now I'm in the process of refactoring the code, and also I wrote a couple of test cases to check if the implemented functionality is working, which was also successful. So yeah, the refactoring should be done soon.
And all that offered us the ability to check and to learn about about ASH. Each call are going through the controller and back and forth to the agent. So we had to make sure that everything is done in the agent and groovy done on the other side. It was quite interesting. Thank you, Jane. Deploy Jenkins prototype on Netlify. I did started that. I'm not sure I understood exactly what they wanted, because I started like we are doing on the status, meaning that we have a preview of for each pull request on Netlify, and I'm not quite sure it's exactly that, but at least I started the work on that. It's a work in progress and draft. I had other issue to deal with, but this has been started. New repo scoop bucket. I have not done anything on that. I am not sure I have the rights to create a new repository in Jenkins Infra. I may need to check. We'll see. Maybe that.
And there is no emergency, so
Yeah, maybe that will wait for Damien to come back to make sure that we have the correct set of permission. I don't want to create a new repo with wrong permissions. And move CI. We kept this one because we need some cleanup. I need to prepare the cleanup and all the draft pull requests to make sure that we are not crashing everything, and check that. So this is on me. Keep platform up to date. So that's what I was saying. Damien provided me the zip file I need to update on Update Center and Crawler. We'll do that after the weekly release. Reduce Artifactory storage and bandwidth use. This is there in work. There is one issue, but ensuring repository incremental are automatically garbage collect, and we have a nice graph that Mark will love in this issue from someone,
Jonathan Arbel of JFrog.
So we got, here is the drop, significant drop of usage.
We'd almost reached 11 terabytes of storage use, and Darren has dropped us down to 4, with it naturally growing because people are releasing things. So it's not a shock that we're growing, and he has the next target for removal identified and is in discussions with the security team to assure that we can remove it. It's another 1 or more terabytes that he thinks we can remove. So
awesome.
Yeah, the other cause for concern is the purple line there, which is the bandwidth. We need to. Their goal is for us to be under 10 terabytes, and we're right now pushing 30 terabytes. So
with that amount of the 24th of February, they plan 10 terabyte for a month.
Their goal for the project is 10 terabytes per month, and so whether or not the metrics support it right now, we need to look at what could we do to reduce the bandwidth use, and so, but that's a future project, or that's addition on the current project.
Okay, thank you. And so the enable Maven dependency client side caching for BOM with Job Cacher is one of those projects, I'm assuming.
Correct. That's well, yes. Although that one is unlikely to actually help bandwidth much. That one, because we're already using artifact caching proxy to reduce the bandwidth utilization. So
Not client side for the developers.
oh, no. So when it says bomb, when it says client side caching for bomb, it means the bomb agents.
Oh, okay.
And so we are already insulated from abuse of Artifactory, because when we were abusing Artifactory before without artifact caching proxy, we were regularly getting 500s from them, right? We were regularly getting service unavailable. They were rejecting requests because we were launching 150 or more concurrent requests that were all downloading big chunks. So artifact caching proxy already reduced bandwidth use, but there are others, and we'll probably have to do log file analysis to decode who's using bandwidth and why.
Okay. So what has been delayed is the discussion about keeping Windows Container Agent or Embrace Windows VM. The stat missing from since October 2024, and migrate updates.jenkins.io to another cloud, meaning the last part with I forgot the name. Archive. No, Archive is migrate PKG.
Is this the this is the final we've moved updates Jenkins.io to Cloudflare, but we haven't decommissioned pkg.jenkins.io or moved it.
Cannot.
Right.
We have to migrate. Yes. The same virtual machine was handling two services, and we need to divide them. Replace account tab with KeyCloud, go authentic something else. I think we had no new information since last week. For the new issue to triage, we had a brand new one this morning about using the weekly CI Jenkins IO to provide some kind of real world usage from ULI. I think he wants to upload data within the controller for it to show more detail of job working and graph and stuff. So we asked him to open an issue, so we got the issue now.
Right. And I like his idea very much, and I agree with Tim. It would be very nice to have something even more real, visible to the world on weekly. And Stefan, your observation is correct. We don't have agents right now on this machine, and adding agents needs more thought. I did have an idea in the short term. So for the next, say, 1 or 2 weeks, what if I'm an administrator on this one. What if I periodically attached an agent to it, ran a few of the jobs, and then detached the agent? So the agent would be coming from my infrastructure, so I can assure that it's safe and sane, etc. Would that be workable, or would we rather just ask Uli to wait and let us work on it as a project so that we get it clean?
No, that can be great. Uli offered to provide some XML files to upload on the container of the controller. So maybe we can do that too, as we built ourselves the container. That may be useful to during that step to grab data from somewhere or within the repo and to embed them in the controller. I don't know. I have no real input in that.
And again, this one can wait. There is no crush for this one.
The main thing is not to have a permanent agent or easy access agent on that virtual machine. Not able to log into Artifactory. Ooh. Okay. So we need to check if that request need to be dealt with. We have a nice issue about setting a new mirror in India.
I'll take the not able to log into Artifactory one. I just confirmed that I am able to log in, so the user has some other problem. Artifactory login is not broken. I just confirmed by logging in myself that it is absolutely not broken.
Okay, so we have an offer to have a new mirror in India. So we need to deal with a new mirror. Awesome. Done. And no treatment anymore. Boom. And the upgrade for Kubernetes 1.31. Yes, you read correctly. We started to prepare the issue. We plan to migrate to Kubernetes 1.31 in March to get back to the pace we had before and to be more up to date on the Kubernetes version. Move collection of stat out of Koshuke, still something that we would like to have. I think that all the other ones are still the same since last week. So those don't really need to be read through. As for the new issue, is there any since this morning? Nope. Oh, maybe this one. Oh, this one is a new one. To be analyzed. Okay. I think that's all. Do you have any questions, thing to add? No. So I wish you a good week and see you next week with Damien. Bye-bye.
Thanks.